Welcome to a Fiveshards exclusive spoiler, where we are previewing a card for the upcoming set in Hex's 9th set? Is that right, Penta?
Yep.
I am here with Penta Chills, who is one of the co-founders of Fiveshards.com, as well as the host of the fantastic podcast 2 Turns Ahead. And if you don't already listen to that podcast, they just recorded an episode where not only are the mainstays of Penta and Duckler on it, but they also got the community manager, Lixel, to come on and talk about all things related to new champions and gems and their initial thoughts on the spoilers that we have thus far. But for Fiveshards, we have a spoiler for you. In fact, I should say hi, or should have you say hi, Penta.
Hi. Real quickly, she's a game master, not a community manager. Yeah.
This is our first time doing a video spoiler. We normally, do just text write-ups, and so I'm sure this is going to be filled with me making mistakes like giving people the wrong titles at Hex Entertainment. I will now put a request in to try to get some of the promotions, since I gave the wrong title and tried to retroactively make it look like I was correct. So, also of note, Penta does stream Hex quite a bit on his Twitch account, Twitch website. No, it's Twitch. Twitch.tv/PentaChills, where you can find him being an expert on the game as well as communicating the game well to new players and older players alike. So,
expert at the game is a little heavy-handed, but we can go with that, sure.
Peacetinker did our first spoiler. He did a write-up for it, which is fantastic. Our second spoiler is I'm going to put down the screen right now.
Ugh.
Penta, why don't you tell us about what it says?
Alright, this is Oinkers the Party Pig. He is a Diamond Sapphire Wild 8-drop. He is a 10 attack, 10 health avatar of debauchery, and he is unique. At the end of your turn, you will look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then play a revealed card for free, and then put the remaining cards into your deck.
And the flavor text?
The best parties have both food and swine. And he's holding a giant cup of wine. And everything about him is pretty cool. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the Tri-Shard legendary for the Merry Caravan. It's a little early to be thinking this, but after seeing the Caw of Obliteration, Doombringer Caw, I'm pretty sure the 5 factions of the set are all going to get a Tri-Shard legendary. So look out for 3 more of those coming. Oh wait, no, there's the Count Dragomar. That's for the Blightbarks. Yeah, so there's 2 more coming. Neat.
Okay. Just before we get into thinking about this card in competitive play, both limited and constructed, the art I like on this because I'm a big fan of Roman history. I've read a bunch of books on it, and I'm a nerd in that respect, and so they have a Roman type of party going on here. And in the U.S. context, this kind of is a doubling because we also associate togas with frat parties, and so he's a party pig, perhaps across time, but obviously a Roman theme here with the gold wreath around the head and the togas going on and the like. Very much a pig.
It's a very standout piece of art as well.
Yeah.
Like it's not a traditional art style that you see in Hex often.
I wonder what medium they use for this, or is it? It's not watercolor, is it?
I'm guessing it's digitally painted.
Oh yeah, that's what most art is, or a lot of art in Hex is. Okay, so initial thoughts for limited.
Alright, so in limited, I can't see myself not picking it. The set does look like it has some fast decks in it. Like there are a couple of aggressive 1 and 2 drops kicking around. Some of the enders are fairly cheap with good abilities, but for the most part, the set has seemed slower. The majority of the spoilers have been 3 and higher cost at this point, with a lot of 4 and higher cost cards. All of the Tri-Shard cards that we've seen so far have been 5 or higher. Count Dragomir was 5, Doombringer Caw was 7. And there's a little bit of acceleration with some cards that were spoiled last Friday, the Curios. So I think I'm probably going to be able to get this guy out onto the board. And I'm not sure. So it's an end of turn effect, which is like way better than a start of turn effect.
Yeah.
So you're almost guaranteed to get this effect off once. And if I can get it off once, I feel like I've probably made okay value on an 8 cost card, getting to play something for free. You might get a dud and hit 3 shards, but you still get to play a shard for free. And then you're shuffling 3 shards off the top of your deck, which you wouldn't have wanted to draw at that point anyway. So I think I'll take him first. There are likely candidates for uncommons that I would take over it, though.
Yeah, my threshold, to use the term incorrectly in the hex context, at which I start discounting cards, is usually 7. I will play a 7 drop or 2 7 drop if they're bombs. If they're 8 or 9, then it's a lot harder for me to justify it. Like I had draft the other night where I got the Mastodon, that's probably misnaming it, 9 cost 9/9 that turns everything else into 9/9s. And that card is fantastic, but I just don't think I'll play it in draft that often, even when I'm playing Ramp. And
when that's a much faster set,
yeah,
by the looks of it, just to think about that.
What much faster in what respect? You think A87 is a faster, more aggressive?
If judging by the spoilers that we've seen so far, yes, that is my thought. Is the Luminaires paired with a lot of the early aggressive cards from other factions make 8/8/7 just like a turn 5/6 format. You're never going to get to the point where you play a 9 drop in that format. I'm hoping set 9 or Doombringer is slower, and just going by the spoilers that we've seen so far, it does look a little bit slower.
Well, I think it has to be, with the draft format forcing basically for you to be Tri-Shard. Because if you're not
Tri-Shard, almost assuredly.
Well,
yeah.
you get no picks in pack 2 or pack 1 if you're dual shard, and so you're basically getting rid of an entire pack if you do dual shard. So some people might, but dual shard is really a worse form of going mono than in previous sets.
Yeah.
And since we don't have the equivalent of what other games have in terms of dual lands, because that would be way too powerful, I think, in this set, or in the game in general, where if you played a resource and gave you 2 thresholds, that just seems amazingly too good. Going Tri-Shard makes it so you have to have a slower deck, or a slower draft format. There still will be faster decks, but I think you are absolutely correct that it will be slower than 8/8/7. So I think I can consider that. Getting a free card is cool. 10/10 without Crush is a big dude that they have to deal with.
Yeah, so that's the thing about this card that really sets me off, is like at 8 cost and Tri-Shard, 10/10 is still just like it's almost not enough. Yeah, it's very unlikely that your opponent will be able to block this profitably, unless they use, I don't know, the lethal gem that was just announced. Mm-hmm. So any socketed card can block this with lethal. It doesn't have Spell Shield, which would be very, very powerful. It doesn't draw a card when it enters play. Like, it has no direct interplay effect, so it is targetable before the end of your turn. No Crush, no speed, no...
It isn't wild. And there was 2 or maybe 4 sets where Hex was very reluctant to print cards that were quick and gave Crush, and those came back in 8/8/7. So I'm hoping that we have access to those still in the new set, because quick and Crush really changes combat math, and I think it's a good, healthy trick to have in the format. And that makes this a little bit more playable, though you won't rely on it. I mean, just even have a 10/10 attacker that they have to either chump with or trade several troops for.
Or can't attack through.
Yeah, that's fine. So I think your assessment in Limited is probably correct, that as a Legendarist, I may just be picking it anyways early on to build my collection. And there's probably uncommon removal or even bombs that I'll pick over Oinkers. But if I have a pretty mediocre pack, or even an average pack, Oinkers is going to be making my collection. And it's good shards to be in, I think.
So let's talk about a card just like separate of this just for a second, because we're talking about Limited. Mm-hmm. There is a common in the set that you might not have seen. So it's Death Toll. It's a 2-cost common. Destroy target troop, discard a card.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So in a pack with Winkers and Death Toll, which do you take?
So generally I would probably be taking Death Toll, maybe. The condition on that is that I have to know the power of Blood in the set, and Blood has generally been powerful in Limited as a whole. If it's the same power level as previous set, then I'm probably taking it. The other consideration is how good is Blood X at generating card advantage. If I'm in Blood Sapphire, I probably could generate card advantage, because the cost of discarding a card is steep. It's still a very good removal card. You're going to be playing it for blood, but you need to have that fodder through either draw or some other factor of like creating cards in your hand or getting stuff from your crypt. And so if these were 2 set 8 cards, yeah, I'm probably taking Death Toll.
Well, Wild seems to have a synergy with cards being in the crypt and getting them back out in this set, and Sapphire Blood seems to want to be discarding cards because a lot of their cards are doing it, but I haven't seen the payoff for that yet.
What gem did the Lightbark get? Because all the factions got another gem. Is it Sapphire? Or is it Diamond? They're probably Diamond.
Oh yeah, they got Diamond.
Diamond can do some things in generating cards, but it's not likely. That's probably fair, because if they got Sapphire as their 3rd shard, Lightbark would be pretty good.
Yeah, it's the Enders are now the human shards, and the Luminaries are gone. Count Dragomir is Blood, Diamond, Wild, so I'm guessing that's what Blightbark is.
Yep.
The Caravan is obviously Diamond, Sapphire, Wild. The Gnolls are Blood, Ruby, that other one. Oh my goodness. Wild. And then the last 3 shard pairing goes to the Occult.
Okay. And they're already Blood Sapphire, so that makes sense. They're probably not Wild, so
yeah,
they got Ruby. Okay.
Going back to the question that I asked you, I think I would take Oinkers. Even in a high cost scenario, I think I would go for like a Platinum Plunder top 8 finale kind of thing. I think I'd go for Oinkers just based on the fact that I think the payoff of resolving him should be okay, with the idea that the strongest removal in the set at common is likely to be a card that also forces my opponent to discard a card. That should still be advantage for me.
And Oinkers is card advantage if you get 1 proc out of it, if not more.
Yep.
It's a good card. It's a good ender.
Yep.
It's just I'm not sure pack 1 pick 1 if I'm committing to this, which is likely going to be a strong archetype, but I need more info.
The other thing to bear in mind with Oinkers is we are talking about the faction that has Rowdy as a mechanic, and this will trigger all of my Rowdy cards for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. We're early in the set, like we have said for every set review on the podcast and elsewhere. We always need more information, so we're doing this a little bit dark, but I could see him being played.
Yeah.
But it's 8. If you were 7, it would be a lot easier for me to make this choice in favor of Oinkers. 8's probably appropriately costed. I would like a keyword on him, though.
Yeah, I feel like they could have slapped a keyword on him, and it wouldn't have been...
Like Crush makes this really easy pick. Spell Shield makes it an amazingly easy pick.
Crush and Spell Shield are the 2 that come to mind, but I think they might be too powerful. Yeah. I think maybe he could have gone with...
Rowdy, because that would have been terrible.
With, like, Swift Strike, or...
That would have been terrible. In a good way.
Or... Yeah. Maybe the Party Pig flies. Just give it flight and...
I mean, flying pigs.
Yeah, exactly. Just have it be a flying pig. With no explanation anywhere, no reference on the art, no reference anywhere else. Now, obviously, Limited is a different beast from Constructed.
I know if I were to pass this, I would see it played against me, because someone else would be playing against their deck. And so that's a consideration.
And they get it on, like, turn 3 somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they like super ramp and be like, here's my turn 3 or 4 Oinkers, and you'd just be like, okay.
We should mention this was one of the card names that were spoiled earlier as the exciting cards. So we get the fortunate pleasure of spoiling one of the fun named cards in the set. So, Constructed.
Alright, so let's ignore that it's a very fast format for a second, because nothing's rotating out except for the sockets, the gems. And let's talk about the reanimation archetype. Yeah. Would you put this in a reanimator deck?
I think so. As a one-of.
So, the advantage is, over most other reanimation targets, is this can theoretically play more of the reanimation targets that are coming from your deck.
Mm-hmm.
The downside is, most of the things that you would be reanimating are already very good. It is very hard to think about reanimating Oinkers over, like, the The guy that gives you and your troops invincible.
The Ageless?
Yeah, the Ageless. There's perhaps other things that are better or worse in those reanimation decks. But yeah, I think I'm on that side where you are, where it's like a 1 or 2 of in a reanimation style deck. And that's about it. That's like the most I could see it getting in that deck. How about the rest of Constructed?
Just a little bit more on the reanimation as one of is that it tries to set you up for a long-term rebuilding of whatever the pieces you need for your combo. So if you have constants or other things that become necessary for the deck or other troops, Oinkers will allow you to dig a little bit to try to get those out in case your big target's removed. But he's a limited utility troop. I think he's one of those ones that bridges the gap between your mid-game and your in-game if you have a lot of resistance to your game plan. Otherwise, so this might be something you bring in against like a blood heavy deck or a sapphire heavy deck that they've removed a lot of your other stuff, so you try to dig your deck to find a little bit more.
Because as far as I know, you're currently reanimating Ageless, Gargalith, and like Eternal Seekers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much this bumps any of those out.
Yeah, it's hard to find a spot. You're never going to want to hard cast it. What shards is the reanimation deck right now? Diamond and
Sapphire.
Okay.
Usually, I mean, it can have a third shard, so
yeah, you might have a little bit of shard fixing in some of your shards just to accommodate this in case you have to hard cast it, which is a possibility. So the rest of the constructed is I am not very creative, so I can't imagine a spot for this in many other decks except for maybe the Diamond Sapphire Wild archetype that may emerge. But presently, I don't know where I put this.
So presently, I think this waits until set 10 before it matters. The current meta is too fast for an 8-drop outside of reanimation, and even reanimation tends to be... I mean, they might start running blood with things like Death Toll, destroy a troop, and discard a card. Seems pretty good for a reanimation style deck. But yeah, there's just not many places where an 8-drop can fit in and feel great.
When does Ageless rotate?
Ageless was Frostheart, so it doesn't rotate until set 11 or 12.
Okay, so it's going to be hard to compete with that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we probably are kind of set on talking about Oinkers. Anything else you want to say?
Just shout out to Ducklet, who's a little upset that somehow a pig got into the game before a duck.
Poor Ducklet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is your Fiveshards Spoiler. Hopefully we'll see you all again soon.
Stay lucky.